This is one of the sample video tutorials for the Maths Explained website. I'll use as my topic rounding and estimating, but there's a lot of other messages I want to give within this little sample, particularly the use of visual images. Throughout the Maths Explained tutorials, I think to myself, what else will my learners learn? So I'm trying to incorporate a lot of concepts, a lot of understanding as I explain processes. So there's more going on than you might notice at first sight. So let's start by looking at close to 10 as an example of rounding and estimating. The idea of using images is to help the maths be more understandable. But if you don't link the images to the symbols and the numbers, then they're no use. They have to make sense to you. I also want to interrelate numbers and operations. So there's lots of stuff going on sort of in the background, but not so far in the background that it isn't helpful. So here's a very frequent image from the tutorials, an image for 10. And you can see I'm using two lots of 5, and that's again is interrelating numbers. So that's my standard image for 10 when I'm working with these little 1 cubes. So the little yellow cubes represent 1. There are 10 of them. One of the most useful links in maths is the link between 10 and 9. So if I start with 10 and I take 1 away, I'm left with 9. So there's a visual image for 9, and if you hold that image for 10 in your head for a moment, you'll recognize the closeness of those two numbers. And of course I can reverse that process by adding back 1 to take me back to 10 again. So we interrelate operations, subtraction and addition, very closely linked. Here's 2 more images I use throughout the tutorials. I've taken my pattern of 10 ones and made them into a rod. Throughout the Maths Explained tutorials, I use this green rod to represent 10. So that's kind of a continuous number, whereas the yellow breaks it down into 10 ones. And that's a very important part of our understanding of place value. So I'm building that in as well. So just have a look at the yellow rods. Now if I take 1 away, I can do that from the yellow rod, but I can't do it from the green. I have to convert the green into the yellow in order to subtract 1. That's a very important part of place value. So all around this very simple 9 and 10 relationship, there's a lot of understanding about maths. So let's subtract that 1, and by looking at the yellow rod and the green rod, again you get another idea of the closeness of 9 and 10 in their values. And you can see that 9 is smaller than 10. And I try and encourage that question, looking at your answers and saying, is that bigger or smaller than where I started? And that's part of the deal as well, to get you looking at your answers and do they make sense? Those are quite visual images, but we might also use the number line, a little less visual, but it puts things in order, so it's got its uses. So there's part of a number line, and I'm focusing on 80 and 90 and the numbers between. So let's take 84 as an example, and if I want to round that to the nearest 10, you'll find the nearest 10 is this one, 80, and not so near is the 90. And we look at the distances, compare them between 80 and 84 and 90 and 84, and I hope it's obvious that the 80 is nearer to the 84. So we slide the 84 down to 80. That's our estimate, or our rounding of 84 to the nearest 10. Okay, let's do another example, 87. Well, even before I put the little arrows up, you can probably see that it's closer to 90. So I'm going to round the 87 up to the 90, so a higher value. So that's my rounding. So 84 has rounded to the smaller value 10, 80, and 87 has rounded up to the bigger value 10, 90. 80 and 90 are also estimates, so we've rounded, but they're also estimates. This is a little something I use in the Maths Explained. I use a sloping number line, just again to enhance your image. So I've got two numbers again, my 84 and my 87. This time I'm doing a sloping number line, and it's more of an empty number line. I haven't got all the little individual markings for 81, 82, 83, and so on. So the idea of the sloping number line with the 85 in the middle is you can see which way the number is going to go. 84 is going to round to 80, 87 is going to round to 90. Same if I do 100. So if I'm rounding to the nearest 100, sloping number line again, I can see where 246 is, so it's going to go to 200. I can see where 262 is, so it goes to 300. So here you're learning to put numbers on a semi-empty number line, and that's very important. That's an estimation in itself, and then show you how the estimation or rounding process takes place. Empty number lines are very good for helping you develop estimation skills. Couple of more images now. The 100 square, very important, and I want to build some more links. So let me just show you numbers that are close to 100, or a number. 99 is very close to 100. In fact, we only need to add 1 to get to our 100, that 1 in the top right hand corner of the 99. So very, very close. But this 100, amongst other things, this 100 square, very closely linked to percentages. And I'll give you another link in a moment. This slide took me forever to do, so to show you close to 1,000, because we can do this close, this rounding, this estimating, for very big numbers as well. So if you look, I've got 999, and the gap is in the bottom right hand corner of my diagram, and I'm going to add that 1 now. So watch that 1 coming in. There it is. That's completed that square and taken my 999 up to 1,000. Now shops, because a lot of maths is useful in everyday life, particularly the rounding and estimating, use this 9 thing to fool you. So particularly with something like 999, a lot of people don't realise how close that is to 1,000, believe it or not. It's called psychological pricing. So I'll try and build a little bit of everyday maths in as well. So I hope you realise there's quite a lot going on with the Maths Explained video tutorials, helping you to build a sense of number, build your confidence with numbers and how you handle them.